Have you ever had all of the knowledge, the wisdom, the information you need to pursue a goal, but yet still fail to move forwards towards that goal? And that can be, if you've ever experienced that, incredibly frustrating. Well, if you have, then you could be experiencing what's known as learned helplessness. And learned helplessness is what blocks us from pursuing goals, even when the path ahead is clear. So what is learned helplessness? Learned helplessness happens when we repeatedly experience a stressful event. And because we repeatedly experience a stressful event, we associate that event with failure. And then eventually we stop trying to succeed within that event because we don't want to fail again. And even when there is a clear path ahead, there's a clear way out, there's a clear door through that fear that we could step through in order to reach and achieve our freedom, we fail to do so. So what keeps us locked in a state of learned helplessness? There are actually 3 P's. The first one is permanent. We tend to believe that when we've experienced a stressful event a number of times, we believe that it's permanent. Our brain doesn't like to be disappointed, and so it would rather lock onto that problem and say, this thing is permanent, we're never going to get rid of it, we're never going to move through it. But what you need to know is the only thing that is permanent in this life is your soul. There's a thing called the law of homeostasis, which means that the sun rises and the sun sets, the tide comes in and the tide goes out, someone's born and someone dies. The earth and the universe is always in a perpetual state of motion. Nothing is permanent, and especially your problems. The next one is pervasiveness. We think that if our relationship, for example, is shite, or if our working life is shite, or our health life is shite, then everything is shite. It's pervasive across everything. And again, this simply isn't true. There are things within your life that are great, even if there are things in your life that are shite. The third one is a thing called personal. We think that the problem is personal. We don't go, hang on a second, maybe this problem exists outside of me. We go, this is a problem with me. This is a flaw in my character. I'm not good enough. I'm not handsome enough. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not young enough. I'm not old enough. All of that kind of bullshit. So if you want to get out of a state of learned helplessness, if you want to get into a state of learned optimism, start realizing that nothing is permanent. Start realizing that nothing is pervasive. Just because you're one thing in one domain, it doesn't mean you're that thing in all domains. And finally, remember that it ain't personal. The world is not trying to fuck you over just because you are you. The world is difficult. There are challenges that we're all going to face. So look at those 3 P's in your life. Ask yourself, am I leaning into them? If you are, lean away from them. Get into a state of learned helplessness. Don't do that. Get into a state of learned optimism. Push forwards with hope. The future will be better than the present. It is within your power to make it so, and you will do whatever it fucking takes to make that happen.